Michael Penix Jr., who has now led the Washington Huskies to the national title game, was a Heisman runner-up. Some people say he was robbed of the Heisman. No, he wasn't. Jaden Daniels deserved that Heisman. I don't care that Penix is in the national title game. Jaden Daniels was the better quarterback, and anybody with eyes saw that this year. But Michael Penix was still very good, and he got Washington to the title game. Michael Penix was committed to Tennessee in 2017, along with Adrian Martinez, when Butch Jones was head coach. When Butch Jones was fired, Penix still wanted to go to Tennessee. He was one of those type of kids, Dave, that still wanted to, that fell in love with the school, not the coach. And Pruitt took over reportedly with Tyson Helton, the offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach at Western Kentucky. And guys, I'm just going to tell you this right now. It was Tyson Helton, not Jeremy Pruitt. I'm going to tell you this straight up. Jeremy Pruitt does not want anything to do with offense. He was there to be a defensive coordinator and let his offensive coordinator run the show. Is that fair to say, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was a head coach he was a defensive coordinator posing as a head coach, hired Tyson Helton to run the offense. Tyson Helton told him to nudge Michael Penix out the door. So Pruitt nudged Michael Penix out the door at Tyson Helton's wish because they wanted JT Shrout. Who has
Tennessee would have been much better off, or just a little bit better off, with Penix over Milton this year.
Well, they would have been much better off with Penix. Much better off. But here's the thing, guys. It's funny. I just went from criticizing Nick Saban and now I'm going to defending Jeremy Pruitt. Don't sit there and clip anything of me saying Jeremy Pruitt's a better coach than Nick Saban, because I know that's where this is going to go for some people. But Jeremy Pruitt was the one who scouted Hendon Hooker. He was the one who got him. So people who were mad at Jeremy Pruitt about the Michael Penix situation, that's fair. But I think what he did with Hendon Hooker outweighs that, because I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Michael Penix would not have stayed at Tennessee. He'd have transferred after everything hit the fan with Jeremy Pruitt and everything like that. And Tennessee would have not had any quarterback and would not have had Hendon Hooker when Josh Heupel took over in 2021. So you can get upset at Jeremy Pruitt for pushing Michael Penix out, but don't act like Michael Penix would have still been at Tennessee in 2023.
It just seems like Tennessee could have massaged the Penix situation a little bit better. I mean, partially stealing that from Travis. That's what I've been working on in my head for the past 30 seconds. Seems like they could have. It shouldn't be that hard. But Caleb, there's another one. You missed that one. All right. Caleb, had he stayed, Tennessee would have been better than Joe Milton, right? I mean, we all agree with that. But there's been a couple of different quarterbacks that Tennessee might have been better off with than Joe Milton in retrospect this past season. But I'm going to give Josh Heupel a lot of credit. At the end of the day, he got through a quarterback that had a limited skill set. And I'm talking about touch on the ball. I'm not talking about him throw it 100 million yards. He had a limited skill set, and he got to a 9-4 season. If having a average to below average quarterback and getting to a 9-win season, which is where Tennessee's football program is at, then you better be darn happy. If we nitpick Josh Heupel because he played the wrong quarterback, or he went for it on his own end against Alabama on fourth down, nitpick him all you want. That's what we're here to do. But as a whole, this football team, if a bad year is defined by having a quarterback situation and you win 9 games, you're in a good spot.
You are. So, Dave, let me ask you 2 questions. Would Michael Penix, do you think Michael Penix would have been at Tennessee right now had Pruitt kept him in 2018? Do you think he'd still be at Tennessee right now?
I'd rather defer on what you think. It seems like to me that from what I hear that Josh Heupel wanted his own guy at quarterback. It didn't work out that way. But didn't it seem like he pushed everybody else Salter and kind of everybody
he tried
else
to put he pushed everybody else out and tried to push Hooker out. And
I think we're reaching a point, and he knows it, that you're going to have that star quarterback, and because of the transfer portal, you're not going to have a backup for much longer. I don't see a lot of Arch Mannings hanging out. I know there are other backup left. I just don't see having quarterback depth. I think in September there's going to be a team next year that has college football playoff hopes that's going to suffer a key injury, very likely at quarterback, and then it's over because they just don't have backups, because the backups are going to go someplace they can play or get paid. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And because of that, I'm going to go out here on a limb, and I'm going to tell you guys, and you, Dave, you can call me crazy.
Crazy.
Rather than be mad at Jeremy Pruitt for pushing out Michael Penix, you guys should be thanking him because he brought in Hendon Hooker and he found Jalen Hyatt. He built the team that Josh Heupel went 11-2 with in 2022. That's Jeremy Pruitt's scouting, quite honestly. That outweighs pushing Michael Penix into the portal because if Josh Heupel was able to put together that team, he's not a good talent evaluator, guys. That's his biggest weakness. And
I
don't
think it's talent evaluation. I think it's something else. I'll share that with you. I want to remind you to support our sponsors. That's why we're here. Don Self is, man, he's your State Farm insurance agent right there in the Chattanooga area. Call 423-396-2126, 423-396-2126, or go to donself.net. That's donself.net. For over 40 years, built their business on reputation and taking care of your customers. Everybody wants to save money, but what about when it's time to make a claim? And that's a little bit different. I don't think that Josh Heupel is a bad judge of quarterbacks. I think that he's stubborn. I think that he picks his direction, and short of a meteor hitting the earth at some point, I don't think he wants to change his mind no matter what. I think he was closer to changing his mind from some things I've been told recently and making a Nico move before Joe started playing better. I don't know how much better, but I think that was a close move. So I just think he gets stubborn. I think he should have made that move. I think he gets stubborn. I don't think it's an evaluation issue. I really don't.
No, and I'll give you that because look, 2 years ago, he it wasn't stubborn, but he was stubborn to start Milton, even though Hendon Hooker was clearly better. But after Milton got hurt, he did go from Milton to Hooker pretty quickly in that moment because I think just in game, we saw Milton play against Pittsburgh, and then we saw Hendon Hooker step in, and Hendon Hooker threw a game-sealing interception. But everybody with eyes saw that Hendon Hooker was better in those moments. Now, so Dave, funny you say that. You know who that reminds me of? You know who I thought was the most stubborn offensive coach I ever saw?
Yes. No, I don't know who that is. Who was it?
It was Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin. I felt Lane Kiffin. Now you can tell me if he was in a very messed up situation with bad coaching all around, so it's not his fault. However, don't you think part of the reason Lane Kiffin stuck with Jonathan Crompton was because Lane Kiffin stuck his neck out for him at the beginning of the year and he said, I'm going down with the ship no matter what in 2009?
Yeah, and I think he's a talent guy too. I mean, I think he saw that Jonathan Crompton had more talent than anybody else in the roster.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And so, whereas some other coaches, I will say this is a knock on Fulmer. Fulmer will always second guess himself too much, didn't he? How many times did he switch quarterbacks when he wasn't comfortable with the quarterback he had in the game?
Okay, but you and I see that differently. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You don't go back and forth, but offensive guards get benched all the time, and nobody talks about that. Listen, if a quarterback's he's not handling his business, bench him just like anybody else. Just don't go back and forth. Now, Fulmer's gone back and forth, which was not.
Yes. Right. That's what I mean. Fulmer second guessed himself way too much with quarterbacks and kept going back and forth. So getting back to it, Pruitt was, you want to talk stubborn in a problematic way? Jeremy Pruitt with Jared Garantano, but Josh Ward can provide some insight on that. Everybody behind Garantano was worse. That's just a fact. It's not that Garantano was good. It's that the whole quarterback room was that bad.